A lot of people don't like Nick Saban. They think he's too brash, too arrogant, too abrasive, too harsh, not having enough fun, not giving his players enough leverage to be themselves, anything like that. But say this about Nick Saban as well. Say that he's a winner. Say that he's determined. Say that he's resilient. Say that he's poised. Say that he is a mastermind in football because his football teams, as many do, they reflect the coach. And the Alabama Crimson Tide once again show themselves to be the elite, maybe by themselves, but most notably and most accurately at this point in the season, the elite, along with maybe one or two other teams in college football once again, even though the target is firmly placed on their back. Going to Oxford, having lost to Ole Miss 2 consecutive years, trailing 24-3, the Tide rolls back and wins this one 48-43. Okay, my points on this one. For SEC Breakdown, you can join us there on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook, or right here as well on Mark Rogers TV. Down 24-3. Nick Saban's teams had never come back from that kind of deficit, but did anybody turn the TV off? I certainly did not. They come storming back, 45-6 run to take the 18-point lead and almost blew it. Ole Miss had a shot, and credit the Rebels for coming back. And we're going to talk a little Ole Miss football in another segment. Here's what stood out to me. Jalen Hurts faced his first adversity as a big-time college quarterback. Some said after the USC game that he faced adversity when he came into the game and in relief and fumbled the first snap. USC recovered. They were down 3-0, or it was 3-3, or whatever. It was nonsense because that's not adversity. His defense was dominating that game, and the game was not in peril at that time. It was a first or second quarter play. It was one fumble. He picked it up from there, and Alabama rolled. In this game, Jalen Hurts found himself on the road in a hostile environment, SEC game, conference game, 24-3 down, and he responded. He passed for 158. He ran for 146. He passed the football against an extremely athletic and fast defense 31 times with no interceptions. And I don't believe any real misfires that were costly in regards to throwing to the wrong guy, throwing into coverage needlessly, throwing a pass that he shouldn't have when he was rushed and he hurried it. He made good decisions. Is he a polished quarterback in terms of a thrower? No, he's not. But he has learned so much in so little time that he's able to play in this environment against that defense, trailing by 21 points, and he's that poised. That's credit to Nick Saban. That's credit to Lane Kiffin, and mostly that's credit to Jalen Hurts. Alabama, again, despite all the crazy plays in this game, 2 defensive touchdowns, the Eddie Jackson return on the punt, Alabama won this game because they dominate the trenches. Ole Miss doesn't have a traditional running game, and it cost them in this game. Also, Alabama dominated. Let's stay with the offensive front here. Let's credit these guys. We rarely hear their names. Maybe the first name college football fans are acquainted with, left tackle Cam Robinson. But you got Lester Cotton at left guard, Bradley Bozeman, the center. The right guard is Ross Pierschbacher, and Jonah Williams, just a freshman at right tackle, should be a star at Alabama. These guys paved the way for Hurts in terms of running lanes. Sure, many of the times the play broke down and Hurts made what he could out of nothing and picked up the yardage. But Damien Harris, 16 carries for 144 yards. Joshua Jacobs had a big 25-yard run during that comeback surge as well. And Hurts, once again, 146 on the ground. So Alabama moved it on the ground, protected Hurts for the most part against a very good defense. The one thing Alabama continued to do in the first half that made no sense to me is they loved throwing the screen passes and stretch plays. And the Ole Miss defense is too fast for that, and it resulted in nothing positive. All right, back to the point at hand. Trench play, Alabama dominates. Defensive line as well. Doesn't help that Ole Miss is one-dimensional. Don't have a traditional running back. Hakeem Judd's a nice running back, but Ole Miss cannot run against the likes of Alabama from the running back position. Too much on Chad Kelly, and we'll talk about that. in the next segment. Jonathan Allen with a 75-yard touchdown, gallop, jaunt, stumble, bumble. He's a big guy. It was impressive. He had a convoy, and he made it into the end zone. Deron Payne, of course, on the blind side sack, the strip, and he picked it up and ran it into the end zone. The two huge plays there. Dalvin Tomlinson, Tim Williams, a menace from the outside, a pass rusher unlike anything that we've seen during the Nick Saban era at Alabama. Bama comes back. They defeat Ole Miss 48-43. They're off and running at 3-0 with their first win in the SEC, a key one over the Rebels, who have, of course, defeated them 2 straight years. Bama fans, Ole Miss fans, SEC fans, college football fans need to hear from you now on Mark Rogers TV.